Good afternoon, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Butler, and I'm a first grade teacher at Adrian Burnett Elementary School. Thank you for joining us at Knox County at Home. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about science, one of my favorite things. This will be Summer Activity 3. If you need to find the materials, all activities and handouts can be found under the Student Resources tab on the Knox County Schools website at www.knoxschools.org. Don't forget to show us what you've learned and tweet it at KCS Science. Now, if this video is hard to understand, there are a few things you can do. You can turn on closed captions if available. Adjust the playback speed and slow down the video. Consider watching short clips, then pause, listen, and watch again. Ask someone in your home to watch the video with you. Stop frequently and talk to your partner about what you heard and understood. Are you ready to get started? Me too. Boys and girls, today we are going to answer a question and solve a problem just like scientists do. As a scientist, you will need to think, learn, and problem solve. The question for today is, what are objects that give off their own light? Today, we are going to read a poem, sort pictures, and then use our knowledge to solve a real life problem. Are you ready to answer our question today? Do you remember what it is? Oh yeah. What are objects that give off their own light? Do you remember what light is? Light is the form of energy that makes it possible to see. It would be dark all the time if we didn't have light. I like having light. Now, the word light source, that's a fancy word where the light is coming from. There are two types of sources of light. Do you know what one of the types are? If you said natural or man-made, which is also artificial, you are correct. Natural is something that's made from nature, and artificial is something that is man-made. Now, I want you to look at these two photographs of a flower. I want you to observe these two photographs like a scientist would. Look very closely and study them. Now, I want you to point to the picture that you think is natural. If you pointed to the one on the left, you are correct. Now I want you to point to the photo of the artificial or the man-made flower. Yes, that's the one on the right. It's a drawing of a flower that is done by a person rather than one that is grown in nature or that you could find like in a garden. Natural light. Let's talk a little bit more about that. A natural source of light is something that creates its own light. Can you think of 3 things that make their own light? They don't use batteries and you don't plug them in. It would be in nature. I'm going to give you time. Here are some examples of natural light. Of course, the sun. That's a big source of natural light. Now we remember, never look directly at the sun, right? It could damage our eyes. But I love to go outside on a sunny day when everything is really bright and warm. Another example, the stars at night. What about, have you ever went out on a summer night and saw glowing bugs? What were those? They'll flash. That's right, a lightning bug or a firefly. Those produce their own light. Another example is a glowworm. Fires and volcanoes. So were some of these things the same as what you thought of? Great job! Now let's talk about artificial light. Artificial light is made by people. It's not found in nature. It can also be called man-made. Can you think of 3 types of artificial or man-made light? I'll give you a moment. Some examples of artificial light are a flashlight. It produces a light with a battery. Lamps. Yeah. They plug into the wall. Another example, street lights when you go down a city street. One of my favorite things to see in the summertime is fireworks on July 4th. Those are man-made or artificial. Lasers. Have you ever played laser tag? That is artificial or man-made light. What about the light that comes off the TV screen or the iPad? That's man-made. Did you think of more than 3 types of artificial light? You are a rock star. Great job. Now, I would like to read to you a poem written by the wonderful Shel Silverstein. And I want you to think about the 2 sources of light it mentions. I want you to see if you can name them and also what type of light source they are. This is the poem called Invention by Shel Silverstein. I've done it. I've done it. Guess what? I've done it. Invented a light that plugs into the sun. The sun is bright enough. The bulb is strong enough. But there's one thing wrong. The cord ain't long enough. So what was the problem in this story? That's right. The cord isn't long enough to plug into the sun. I would be wanting to plug into the sun. So what would you do if it was you? I would too. I would plug it into the wall in my house. Now, do you remember my original question? What are the 2 sources of light? If you said a sun and a light bulb, you earned a gold star. Look at that. Do you know what the light source of the sun is? That's right, it's natural. What about a light bulb? Oh, of course, it's artificial or man-made. Way to go! Now, I want us to be scientists and use what we have learned so far, and let's sort some objects into categories. What was our main question for today? Do you remember? That's right. What are objects that give off their own light? Well, let's look closely at each of these pictures and talk about each one and decide if they give off their own light or if they do not. Now the first picture here, we have a cupcake. Now, while cupcakes are delicious, do they give off their own light? No, they do not. So we'll put that in the category that does not give off its own light. Now, the second picture is of a candle. Does a candle give off its own light? Yes, it does. This would be something handy if the power goes out to help me see. A candle would go into the category that it gives off its own light. Now this next picture we all use when we go to school. What is it? That's right, it's a backpack. Does a backpack give off its own light? No. Would it help me see in the dark? No. So I will put that does not give off its own light. Oh, these next are some of my favorite things. Those are books. Now while books give us wonderful stories to read, do they give off their own light? No, they do not. They wouldn't help me see in the dark. This next one, what is that? That is a lantern. Would that help us see in the dark? Absolutely. Yes, so that would go into the category of gives off its own light. Now these next here, oh, you're right. Those are dice. We've used those in math before. But while they're great for helping us count, would they help us see in the dark? No, they would not. So they don't give off their own light. This next picture, oh, that's a lamp. We use a lamp all the time. Does it give off its own light? Yes, it does. I turn on the lamp to help me see. And the last picture we looked at earlier, it's a flashlight. Does the flashlight help me see in the dark? Absolutely. And I remember just where we keep ours. So, you did a fantastic job sorting those objects into their own categories of whether or not they give off their own light. So, are you ready for the big problem? Can you put on your thinking cap for me? Let's solve a problem like a real scientist would. So, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine that you're at home or in the classroom and all of a sudden the power goes out. That happens occasionally. The power goes out and boom, it's dark all around. Now, using what you know now about light, what could you do to help you see? Is there more than one thing you could do? Would what you do be different if it's in the daytime versus if it's at night? Why would that be? I'm going to give you a moment to think about this. Okay, now, if it's daytime, you know the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to open a blind or a window. That would let the sunlight in the room and help me see with all the natural light streaming in. Now, if it's at night, will opening a window help? No, because while the stars give off light, they're so far away, it wouldn't help us see. And the moon, we've talked about that before. It doesn't give off its own light. It's just being shined on by the sun. So that wouldn't help me see either. So I will need to look for some artificial lights at night, right? Well, if the power's out, would the lamp work? No, it plugs into the wall. That wouldn't work. So is there something else we could use? Oh, you're right. My handy-dandy flashlight. That's a great idea. I know just where we keep one stored in case of emergencies. So, did you come up with some other ideas to help you see in the dark? Great job! Thank you for all your hard work today. You are one amazing scientist. See you next time. And don't forget to do the activity that goes along with today's lesson and show us what you learned at KCS Science. Have a great day. Bye, guys.